Hello guys, welcome to Banter Blitz with me, International Master Andrey Ostrovskiy. Not the best location today, not the best background, but I think anyway, the most important part is happening somewhere here, so on the chessboard, and it will not really disturb you. Just as usual, let me know if you can hear and see me well. And we're going to start, and just as usual, I'm going to play first 3 games against people I've never ever played before, and then I will just take challenges one by one. As far as I understand, we already have some, so let's see. Yeah, we have quite a lot, to be honest. Let's have a look. So there is the challenge coming from Tariq from Turkey, and we've never played before, so I see no reasons not to accept. So let's start. And I'm playing with black pieces. All right, let's go. So I can see a lot of new names here on chat. That's great. The question from Kafka23 is 5-0 better than 3-0. Depends on what you want. So basically, yeah, if you want to have more chances to win, then yeah, 3 minutes is probably a better choice. But if you're here for listening to my explanation or some of them, 5 minutes is better, because in that case I obviously have more time to explain stuff. Okay, so what's going on here? I think bishop to c5 is just fine. Prom night is here. That's fantastic. And Zeal is also here. That's nice. Alright, castling. Let's try d6. In my opinion, pretty solid move. This one is not necessarily that dangerous, I suppose. So let's just occupy d4. Bishop takes. Bishop goes back to b6. What I need here is just a castle, right? And I'm more or less finished with the development. Of course, my light squared bishop should be developed somewhere, but I guess it's not a big problem. Although I'm not sure that I have to do this right now. Maybe it's better to start with some fight for space on the king side, because after e captured on d5, it became really simple to do. That's probably the correct move. Otherwise, I can play f4 and just seriously limit that bishop. Well, now, I guess f4 is still okay. And I have a feeling that my bishop is better than white's one, because my bishop is not limited with on pawns. And now after queen e4, I have several interesting options. The one is just to play bishop f5 and ask, what are you doing there, my friend? Because it doesn't feel like queen, well, e4 is a good square for queen. It's quite vulnerable. Another idea, though, is to play f3, since white just, yeah, lost a blockade. And that move looks really good to me, because if white captures, then the king is very bad. If white doesn't, then there is still a chance to do something like queen move into h3 and then just a checkmate or something, right? The question is now how to get there. There are several options. Let's say queen g5 looks amazing. Bishop f5 is still good. I don't know, queen d7 intending queen to h3 looks also fine. I don't know. Let's put the queen on g5. Dutch defenders here. Amazing. I'm just wondering, how do you guys find time? Still find time for my streams, although they moved to weekend. And you know, on the weekend, you'd rather spend your time somehow differently, right? But I don't know. This makes me happy, of course. Alright, d4. So now, rook to f4 looks pretty good. The only thing is that my bishop is still not playing. I don't really like it. So probably it's a good time to do something with the bishop. I have bishop f5. Yeah, I mean, looks like a good move. And this gives me a chance to play bishop to h3. Not a big win, of course, just an exchange. But still, that's, yeah, material advantage. So the question from Prom Night, is it not possible for you to stream during the week? No, at the moment it's not realistic. Because during the week I'm really busy with my job. Now let's take on d4. Because now we have extra exchange, which means we should demonstrate the advantage of the rook. And the rook has the advantage if compared to the minor piece only in case there are open files. And that's why I captured on d4, because I want to have as many open files as possible. And this is not really dangerous because I have this move, tempo move, and now I think I win a bit more material. So where to go to start with? There are lots of pawns that are hanging in white's camp. For example, now I can take on c. I think I shouldn't even consider anything else because d takes c3 is so natural. Now I can take on a2, I can take on d5, I think I will take on a2, activating another rook, one which already not that bad, being here on the open file. And now another one occupies the second rank. Yeah, I think white's position is completely lost now. There is no even a single chance to survive it. And the rest of the pawns just drop one by one. Now I can take on f4, right? Because if g takes f4, there's queen takes h3. I also thought that rook e7 would have been absolutely normal. Let's get back. So I have extra exchange and 3 pawns in addition to that, right? So that's just the end. And here we go, closer and closer. Now obviously our goal is just to checkmate white. I think the next move will be rook f2, right? So if bishop goes away somewhere, there's just rook f2, where after if king goes to the first rank, there is queen e1, and if king goes to h3, there is queen h6, king g4, and queen h5, checkmate. All right, so what to say here? I won directly after your blunder, so I won the exchange, but I think that position was already quite pleasant for black. Even this one, before you play queen e4 and gave me a chance to play f3, was already quite interesting for black. As I said, I had a feeling that my bishop would be better than yours, and that's why I think white should have done something like that. So d4, immediately trying to, you know, open that diagonal and bring the bishop to a better position than it is at the moment. And I'm not sure that it is so simple for black to achieve anything. I guess there is something like queen g5, which may be potentially quite annoying for white. I have a threat of bishop to g4, let's say, followed by f3 or followed by bishop to h3, depends. But again, maybe in fact it is not that terrible for white, at least not immediately. Something like f3, okay, I don't know, g3. So what? I don't see anything immediate here. So if queen h5, you still have time to play rook e1 and bishop f1 to cover g2, something like that. But in general, I don't really understand the whole concept of playing knight to d5, then taking on d5 with a pawn. By the way, I could have probably captured on e4. Maybe that's a trap. I have no idea. But knight d5 looked so natural to me. I mean, like e5, knight d4. Yeah, so I just have better pawn structure now. Probably should have captured with the bishop after knight d5. All right, all in all, interesting game. So thanks for that. One more against somebody I've never ever played before. Not a single game, I mean. There are many people I've played at least one. Let's try to find somebody. LittleGary. Never played before, except playing with white pieces now. e4. Alright. d5, Scandinavian. Alright. Now queen d5 for knight f6. Queen d5, classic stuff. And now queen to d6. Not very classic, but still fine, right? The classic one is queen a5. What's interesting, it's absolutely not clear if white has an advantage here in Scandinavian. It feels like black is doing okay, pretty much. c6. All right. So let me remember. There is something crazy possible, if I'm not mistaken. Something like bishop to f4, queen takes d4, and then knight to b5. I might be completely wrong, but I think it is that position. So queen d4, knight goes to b5. C takes b5. Bishop takes b5 with check. Or something like that. Maybe I'm just completely wrong. I don't remember. Or maybe rook to d1 first. Yeah, maybe that is the move. Yeah, it's bad when you have, you know, just a bad memory. Crazy. All right, so I'm just a pawn down here. Feels like that. Yeah, there was knight b5. I just don't remember in which position. So I'm a pawn down here. What we have to do here is to try to compensate it with some active play. Knight b5 right now makes a little sense to me, so let's just develop the pieces, right? Bishop c4, maybe castling. Definitely castling, because I need all the pieces in the attack, if there is an attack, of course. But now, as far as I understand, I can try something like bishop b8, rook b8, queen g3 if I want to go greedy, but then castling, protecting the rook, and g7. It doesn't work. Even that doesn't work. God damn it. I think I'm just a pawn down, right? What about knight a4 attacking the queen? Does this guy have enough space? I think something like queen a5 may do. No problems whatsoever. Okay, have no idea. Let's play knight e4. Just trying to create some threats. And this move gives me indeed some compensation, maybe. Maybe not. At least I love my bishop on d6. It's quite good. And if black castles alone, then I can start the attack immediately, like b4, a4, b5, or maybe b4, b5, not spending time on a4 at all. Does black have immediate threat to my bishop or to my pieces? No, I don't think so. So let's go there. Yeah, this position doesn't look that bad for white. I can take on f7 now, right? And I will do that. Don't see a problem with that move. Regaining the pawn and attacking e6 and g7. Be not afraid of rook f8 because bishop controls that square. I think instead of playing knight e7, black should have just castled immediately, or captured on e4 and then castled. Of course, knight e5 was not forced, So that is a blunder. But anyway, even if black doesn't blunder that f7 pawn, it's also a pleasant position because I control more space and I have a clear plan of just playing b5, opening the position for my bishops against opponent's king, which is quite limited here on c8. As you can see, my bishop not only controls f8 square, it also controls c7 and b8, preventing black from, securely moving the king somewhere to the corner and feeling comfortable. So whenever c5 is open, it's immediately dangerous and maybe just the end for black in some lines, I mean. Alright, g5 doesn't necessarily attack anything. So should I take on e6? Yeah, I mean, why not? Doesn't actually look bad, right? Okay, rook e8, attacking my queen. I wanted to go here. I hope I don't blunder anything. Feels like a very good position because my queen cannot be attacked right now. Somehow. Rook f8, still not possible because of bishop f8. Knight e3, I just take it, so makes no sense. And now the knight on d5 is under pressure. Want to take it, or maybe play b5, trying to make this d5 position vulnerable. So now what? I can just take twice on f4. I think it's the easiest solution here. I can also think of playing a4 and then a5. I think that looks even more attractive because queen is quite limited. So a4 and a5, right? Trapping the queen. That's the plan. If not trapping the queen, then just, playing a5, a6, and opening the position against the king. Oh my god, a5 is just helping me a lot, right? I'll just take it. No, this can't be good. The next move is a6, I think. I'm winning here. Automatically. Like this, right? You don't even have to calculate anything because each and every move is so natural. Now I want to play a7, a8 queen. And feels like it works. I mean, it's happening. It's happening. There is no chance for black to prevent me from a8 queen because knight is pinned. So knight b6 could have been the only option, but even that is not an option anymore. Here we go. So, if there is no bishop on d6, there is some like king to c7. Although I believe I messed up the things a bit. So bishop f4 was probably correct, but then after queen d4, I think knight b5 is the main move. But I just don't remember. That's the problem. I just don't remember. Alright, but there is something like that. Similar ideas at least somewhere. Okay, so what to say? Let's have a look what happened in the game. Briefly, bishop c4, e6, castling, bishop e7, knight e4. Yeah, I guess just immediate castling here was fine. Maybe knight d5, but then I just play knight d6 anyway. So, yeah, either castling or taking on e4 and then castling. So I would have considered something like that as black here. Because after I got that bishop, I felt already quite comfortable. And again, just trying to explain a few more things. Even if you don't blunder f7, don't play knight d5. Well, I just continue with the attack. It looks almost automatic here. a4, a5, and your queen is trapped. Or I just play b5 and open diagonal h1, a8. And every move that at least slightly opens the position, slightly, is already something great for white and a source of real danger for black because white has pair of bishops and in an open position it's just almost automatically a weapon of death. Alright, let's continue. Let's see. One more game against someone I've never ever played before. If we have somebody like that here, no. Kafka, 23. Alright, exactly that guy who asked about what is better, 5-minute or 3-minute time control. You're welcome, my friend. Let's play. Fuchs is here. Fantastic. Now almost everyone is here. I mean, if we are talking about people who watched my very first banters on Chess24. And to the date, I think I've done something close to 200s. I might be wrong, but something like that, I guess. No, probably that's too much. Maybe something like 150 or 60. Yeah, also close to 200s, but not that close. Fuchsia says, it's a long time. The first shows were on Vimeo. Not exactly. I think they were re-uploaded on Vimeo after, like, in 1 or 2 days after each episode. So there was some other software and some other platform which I used for streaming. For some reason, I don't know why. I didn't have the access to the YouTube channel and stuff. And then, yeah, it was somehow embedded on Chess24 and then was re-uploaded on Vimeo in 1 or 2 days after the show. That's true. But it was not streaming to Vimeo directly, or it was not embedded directly to Chess24, at least. All right, so against b3 in Scotch, I usually play a5, a4 plan, trying to open the a file immediately and get rid of my potential weakness, because after this exchange on c6, as you can see, I have 3 separated groups of pawns, and this single pawn on the a file in the endgame may become a serious target, a serious problem. Bishop goes to a3. I guess queen to g5 is absolutely fine reaction here against it. So if bishop takes on f8, there is queen to c1 check that white has to take into account, which is not necessarily that dangerous, I guess. Because there is queen to d1, right? And there is no check on c3. All right. I guess white should be slightly better in this ending. Maybe not slightly, maybe it's gonna be hard time for me to equalize. I don't know. I've never ever played this ending. Okay, this way. All right. Just taking on e5 then, attacking f2. And I understand, yeah, h7 drops, but hi, I have a sort of, you know, impressive center potentially. And my rook is on the 2nd rank already. I guess white missed something here. Maybe I'm wrong, but feels like I'm having a good position now. What I need to do is, in fact, to play d6 and then develop my bishop and connect my rooks. That's it. I mean, very good chances to win the game. Now to g4, this pawn becomes a target. I'm not sure, should I play d6 or just, you know, just active d5? This also looks amazing. Attacking g4. If I take on g4 though, there is king e1 with the tempo. I have to move my rook away, and I'm not sure. Let's just recapture for now, because I do want to keep my pawns in the center intact. And g4 may be captured at any moment. For example, now is a great moment. White probably just completely blundered that idea. Now black's position is absolutely winning. There is no doubt about it. There are different ways to win it, I guess. So let's just bring the rook to h8, right? Just to take h2, connect the rooks as I wanted, and win the knight on e2. Rook to c1. I guess I have time to play this king d6, preventing white from taking on c7. The next move I'll take on h2, and that's it. Right? Yeah, I think so. There is another interesting idea. Since white's pieces are really limited, I can probably just play e4 and think of trapping that bishop on g6, because it's kind of, lost here on g6, completely separated from the rest of white's army. Yeah, there are different plans for black, obviously. Instead of doing that, I believe that white could have considered something like e takes f6, right? And after rook takes f6, white has a slightly better pawn structure. Maybe not slightly, I have no idea. So something like f3 comes to mind, followed by bishop to d3. That's exactly what should be annoying for black, because look at black's pieces here. The knight is typically bad on b6, limited with c4 a lot. The same is about the light squared bishop, because it doesn't have a lot of perspectives here. White's pawns are kind of, protecting each other, and they are on light squares, and it's really hard for black to activate this guy. Although I believe it is possible. So something like d6, and if bishop goes to d3, there is bishop to f5. But then again, even after this exchange, I'm not sure that black is getting what they want. So something like check, king there, king d2. If I take, then king takes. King is well centralized. There is knight e4 coming, rook e2, another rook to e1. Maybe it's not a lot. Maybe it's not, that dangerous for black. But still, I would prefer playing it with white pieces because of just a better pawn structure, right? And better perspectives for the knight. This knight on b6 is indeed terrible, all right? Anyways, thanks for the game. Let us continue. So now, after playing 3 games against people I've never ever played before, I'm getting back to just normal accepting of challenges one by one. And the first one is coming from Elohim, like Elohim with G at the end. And it feels like we have played already. And we're playing 3-minute game, so I should be kind of faster. Okay. Focus on the game, because, when I play 3 minutes game, simultaneously explaining stuff, it's so easy to get into time trouble. And I'm not sure that I'm doing the right stuff right now. So I've played knight to c6, probably was a waste of time. Probably I should have played just d5, immediately getting the Philidor reversed, right? Okay. That feels like my position is quite good, right? Yeah. I like it. Actually, so castling. Yeah, I guess even castling is fine. Maybe we'll lose a pawn here, although I prefer to think that I'm sacrificing it. Okay, so there is nothing I can complain about in this situation, right? So let's just protect the bishop, just in case there is some tactical stuff possible against it. I'll be happy to open the H file here. Let's go this way first. Queen h2, king h2, hg4 doesn't checkmate white, unfortunately, so I have to really lose a pawn here. There was just rid of a checkmate now. And I'm really wondering, can I take on h2 now? I don't think so. I don't think so. What should I do then? Well, maybe just queen d4. Having different ideas. Maybe I missed that rook takes h2, but I really didn't see anything there. So king h2, rook h8, king g3, so what? What's the follow-up? So I should be just patient here, I believe. Yes, I'm a pawn down, but maybe 2 pawns down, but open files should matter, right? Or maybe I just overestimate them. I don't know. Okay. Let's try to get rid of that bishop. Okay, now it's passive. It's good. So I should probably just double my rooks on the H file to start with. What? Is it good? What about this move now? What's happening? That's just me having nothing, right? Or what's going on? Queen f5. Oh god. Rook h2 now? It's hard to believe there is no rook h2 at any moment. Like rook takes, rook h8, king g3. It doesn't feel like there's anything. Because I don't see it. God damn it. This is annoying. Okay then. Yeah, white is just a pawn up now. And I'm having just 19 seconds here. That's annoying. Indeed. Yeah, just 3 seconds. Although it's probably just a winning position already, but just 3 seconds, so I'm losing on time. Ah, god damn it. This is an annoying game. But yeah, time is a factor in such a situation, so I don't have to complain about the time. But I'm just really wondering, maybe I missed something here. Maybe rook h2 was possible. Was it possible here? Let's have a look. Rook takes, king takes, rook h8, king g3. I want my queen on h4. But unfortunately, I cannot play a move like that. Unfortunately. Yeah, there is still nothing. Oh my god, it felt so good at some point. But yeah, obviously here, I should have played this move. Just grabbing the pawn. Right, regaining the material. And then getting back to display along the H file. Okay, congratulations, my friend. You did it. Tariq is the next one. Accept. At the end, of course, it was winning for black, but it was no longer important because I had just a few seconds. And I'm not the one who plays who can, you know, make thousands of moves on pre-moves and stuff like that. I'm not a bullet player whatsoever. All right. Nevertheless, there is a comment, Ostrovskiy, maybe you can close animations. I'm not sure what you're talking about. What does it mean to close animations? If you're talking about like switching them off, well, it was asked by many people to have them on. All right. That's why. I'm having them on. So the question, he accepts only 5 minutes. Well, the previous one was this 3-minute game. Come on. Are you following the show? I'm accepting 1 by 1. Doesn't matter what's there. 3 minute, 5 minute. I have no idea. What else? Okay. Black is doing not that bad here, for sure. Yeah, there is an isolated pawn on d5. No questions. But black has pretty active setup now. So what should I do? I should definitely complete my development here. That's priority number 1, which is knight e2, knight b3, knight d4. Alright, just to bring the knight to a blockading position. There's a very good question from Fuchse about the exchange of dark squared bishops. In my opinion as well, white is benefiting from that exchange because of the weakness of dark squared complex. But that advantage is anyway in this situation is not that big, I would say. So I believe. It's also absolutely okay. The other thing is that playing e6 before the light squared bishop is developed. That's really strange. Dutch Defender says, wow, Fuchse, you can type really fast. Fuchse is a programmer, so there is no surprise, I would say. That's probably not the fastest mode. Alright, so knight f5 looks great. I can also just keep my bishop on the board now. So black had a chance to exchange the knight for that bishop, but this option is gone. Now I have pretty good centralized position here. There's nothing to complain about. And d5 is not necessarily my target here right now. It's pretty good, pretty well protected. So I should find something else to attack here. For example, g7, h7 look also quite vulnerable. So maybe we should try something like that. Since black moved a lot of pieces away from the king, I think it's pretty natural to try to attack the king here. Oh, this is just a terrible mistake. Now I have queen g4, attacking the queen with the rook and pawn on g7 at the same time. It's over. Yeah. Here we go. Time to resign. G7 is attacked. Queen is attacked. Extra queen. extra queen, according to my calculations here. Oh, no. But it's the fastest way to finish the game for sure. Alright, so there is an interesting question about bishop d6. Yeah, in this case, indeed, you weaken dark squares because majority of your critical pawns, as I call them, are on light squares, which indeed makes dark squares pretty weak in black's camp. And in general, this is something that becomes apparent much later, because in this pawn structure, the most promising plan for black is a minority attack with the b5, b4, because we have a Carlsbad pawn structure reversed. And this may only work if the dark squared bishop is on the board. And here Fuchs is absolutely right, because in that case, let's imagine black starts the minority attack at some point. For example, I play knight f3, castling. We need to, let's say black just starts the minority attack and I don't do anything to prevent it. And I really don't have to do anything to prevent it, because now I have this plan with knight to b3 and knight to c5. So I can play a3 to prevent b4 here. So black now needs to spend several tempi to protect b5 before he or she is able to play a5 to play b4. And while that is happening, I will just put my knight through b3 to c5. Let's say rook b8, just knight to b3, and then at some point my knight to c5. I can also consider just playing b4 first. I can do it, and then knight b3 and knight to c5. And that's basically it. Black doesn't control c5 that well, and if my knight is on c5, I just completely freeze black's minority attack, black's play on the queen side, and then this position may become only vulnerable for black. c3 is not a weakness. If my knight is on c5, there is no play along the c file, and I play a4 at some point, undermining b5, and b5 becomes my target, so on and so forth. This is something that usually not happening if black plays correctly, and at the same time has the dark squared bishop on the board. So in my opinion, yeah, in the vast majority of cases, this bishop d6 is a bad idea. Just compare it to normal Carlsbad. Just a quick reference, right, to normal Carlsbad pawn structure: d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6, down cd5, ed5, something like that. So in the vast majority of cases, white tries to do that so that black doesn't develop the bishop on f5. So let's say this way: e3, c6, something like bishop d3, before black even tried to play bishop f5, to prevent that. Or if the bishop is on d3 already, there is a plan like knight d7, and then the knight goes to f8 to e6, and then black plays g6, then knight from e6 goes to g7, everything just to play bishop f5, get rid of that bishop, and control that c4 square once the minority attack starts. Everything is just typical. It's well known for years and years, and Fuchs is absolutely right. This bishop d6 is not that great for black, but again, it's only if you are planning to play the minority attack plan. If you are okay with just waiting, or what black did in this game, this exchange is not that critical. It just, deprives you of that plan. That's the idea. All right, guys, back to the game, accepting the Zurian challenge, playing with black here. So probably there will be some sort of reti, right? Or King's Indian attack. I'm not really good at names. And here I think knight to c6. Something that Kramnik played several times. Now let's go. And a5, prevented b4. Probably white should have considered playing b2, b4. Not entirely sure, but felt like a possibility. Rook e1. Okay. Now what? This maneuver is typical. Knight is not doing much on f6. So it's more needed somewhere here on the queen side where white weakens some light squares. So ideally it's like knight to c5 become possible, then head into either b3 or d3 or just attacking a4. Some things like knight to b6 just controlling c4 a bit better so that white's knight doesn't go there. For instance here, I'm not sure what is the best choice. Knight to b6 or knight to c5, both look attractive to me. Let's see, if we play knight to b6, I believe white will just play b3, which will be a target for me for a long time, but my knight on b6 will be quite passive. Maybe it's better for me just to play knight c5 right away, but then after knight to c4, what to do? Knight to d3, just attacking the rook, and the knight on c4 is hanging, and if rook to d1, then bishop takes c4, right? Yeah, that's the thing. Let's do it. Yeah. Feels like white missed something here. Although there is always like a feeling that white is not doing anything and black is grabbing the initiative, but then it appears that it's just a delusion. So I had that impression so many times playing with black. Yeah. I'm never prematurely happy with my position when I'm playing against this setup. For example, right now, I don't even have a direct threat that would make white's position really worse, right? But white has a problem with the plan here and with the coordination of the pieces. There is no coordination at the moment at all because the development is not finished yet. Feels like it's not so simple for white to do. Alright, so there is just a rook to d1. Yeah, good looking move. It's always tempting when you see something like this to play queen to d3. But I'm really not sure if it is what we want. If we bring the queen to d3, most likely white will play queen to e1 because I don't think there will be an exchange. On the other hand, again, we just grab some space because of that. We can always step back. Even something strangely looking like queen a6 is possible after queen e1, so that our queen may relocate to b6. Or even a7, in some cases, may be fine to attack f2 in the future. For now, though, I want to do something on light squares, which is not so simple, but it's definitely possible. Let's say if queen e1, I may consider even something like queen to c2. Yeah, my queen looks not so great there, but there are some threats like knight to d3 and stuff. Alright, that's cool. So now at very least I have pair of bishops, right? Should I grab that bishop? I guess I can wait with that even. Let's say a rook to d8 is not wrong for me here. Right? Yeah. Let's just start with the rook d8, because if bishop goes away somewhere from c1, I take on b2. So I want to keep my knight there for some time. Creating some threats like bishop to c5, bishop to b3. Yeah, I like my position now, to be honest. Looks really pleasant now. Knight to e1. Alright. So too many pieces on the back rank. Is it good or bad for white? I don't know. do we have some tactics here because of it? So something like knight takes f2, rook d8 check, rook d8, king f2. No, it doesn't work. We can take on c1 now. I guess it's a good moment. We're fighting for the d file. This way. a4 is under pressure, and there is no rook d1 anymore. Now this knight f1 is kind of pinned to d2 square, I would say, because whenever knight moves, I can bring my rook to d2, which will be even more unpleasant for white. There's also an idea of playing bishop to g5 next move, or bishop to c5, also look pretty good. Probably bishop to c5, still control an a3 square, preventing white from getting rid of my bishop there. Okay, so white is fighting for g5 and d2 squares simultaneously. Yeah, not so simple for me. But anyway, I think my position is better. But white did the right thing, just getting rid of my bishop on b3, because it was quite bad for white. Okay, now it's a time for a centralization, I think, like this. Position was simplified. I believe black is still slightly better, but white did a great job here, for sure. Just simplifying stuff a bit. Oh, look at this. I can take the knight because f2 is hanging. My rook is not being trapped. So if f2 would have been protected, then there would have been king to g2 attacking the rook, and it's trapped. But in that case, I just take on f2. All right. Yeah, I believe that after c3 and my e5 move, you should have considered something like b4, intending to play b5 and still having this e4 on the table, or maybe instead of playing c3, just play e4 immediately. I guess e4 is the main move there, because now after e5, e4 takes a5. Yeah, here maybe a4 is just a waste of time. I think queen e2 immediately, intended knight to c4, next move already is the main line. And as you can see, you don't weaken your b3 square with this a4 move. I guess that's the main line. All right. Because after this, well, I guess your position is still okay, but it's no longer that pleasant. Maybe bishop to f1 deserved attention, because anyway, you came to this idea a bit later that your bishop is needed there, and indeed, it's not doing anything useful on h1 a8 diagonal anymore. That's a pretty typical idea for this setup. So now you want to play either bishop b5, targeting e5, or maybe knight to c4, maybe bishop to c4. It depends. And I guess it's a bit more efficient than to have a queen there. And you also protect e3 much better. And yeah, if I play something like knight c5 now, you just play queen to c2 and pay attention. Both d3 and d3 are protected. So I don't have this idea even with bringing my queen to d3. All right. So that would be my recommendation. All right. Jonathan Aspeland, accept. Playing with white pieces. Let's go. So waiting for Jonathan. Jonathan, are you there? Doesn't feel like that. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, abort. Let's continue. Dr. Baloo. All right. I wish black pieces now. So, what do we have here? Probably close Catalan, right? Yeah, it will transpose to that for sure now. Or something, yeah. Not something, just the close Catalan. I could have captured on c4. It's another main line. Much more popular than this c6 approach, but this one is also absolutely fine. As far as I remember, this is a move here. Now bishop to b7. Now this one is possible. Followed by c5. Yeah. If my memory is not betraying me, this is a way to go here. e5, alright. Just bring the knight to the center, right? Knight goes to d5. And white's center is no more. Which is completely fine here, I guess. Rook to c8. Looks very natural here. And it feels like black has a better development than white, right? Because of that bishop on c1. That's what I like about these positions. So it's not a decisive factor whatsoever, but sometimes you're just better developed than your opponent, and you're playing with black pieces. What the hell? How's that possible? But it is possible, indeed. So now I see an interesting option for me. It is to play c4, but I think it's too risky, but it can be an option. Like c4, if knight takes, I have bishop a6, pinning the knight, and if b3, then just knight c3 wins in exchange at least. But after c4, I'm not sure that knight e2 will be that simple for me to parry, because in that case my bishop on b7 is not protected, and c4 will be attacked like thrice. But then I could play c3, attacking the knight. Knight takes d5. Nah, bishop d5 takes on c3, takes on g2, takes on c3. Yeah, it's interesting. Let's try it. I mean, I'm not sure entirely that it's a good move. I'm not even sure that it's tactically sound here, but if everything works as I want, so that I have time to play b5, then I will have an amazing blockading position on light squares, and we'll have just a 3 against 2 on the queen side, because this d4 is, although it's, you know, technically on the queen side, but it's out of play because it's a, you know, blockaded weakness. It's not participating in anything, and we're talking about just this part of the queen side, which starts from the c file and ends with the a file. And on that part, black has 3 against 2, right? If this c4 doesn't drop. Okay, knight e2. I didn't look at knight to e3 yet, so knight takes e3, bishop takes b7, knight takes d1, bishop takes c8. There, a queen c8, queen d1 looks okay for black completely. So knight e3, let's say queen e3, bishop b7, bishop g2, king g2. It's also fine for black. Knight e3, probably pawn takes. That's the way to go. But then again, I'm not sure that that pawn structure is that bad for black. Yeah, so let's simply take on e3. I suppose it's fine. Alright. And light squares. It's all about light squares, I guess. b5, knight b6, knight d5. So on and so forth. White still has some attacking options on the king side, for sure. But without a light square bishop, this attack is not that dangerous, I think. So just knight b6, knight d5 is a way to go. Alright, here I'll just also play b4. I guess that's fine. Because anyway, my plan is just to push my pawns on the queen side. And this is just the end, because queen d5 check wins the knight. Okay, Dr. Baloo. Not your best game for sure. Not your best game. But now you know that black may be pretty active in the closed Catalan, although at very first glance it looks like a super passive opening. But the thing is, black just takes a pause before getting active, right? So just overprotect everything, you complete the development, and then once you're ready, you start active operations in the center. Here, by the way, d5 deserves some attention, although according to my analysis, it's just losing the pawn, but white has some active counterplay there. Because when you play e5, you just give up d5 forever, and now black is never worse, never. Only white has to be careful to hold this position, okay? Let us continue. Let us continue. A Spectre is the next one. And 5 minutes, and I'm playing with black pieces again. And Roy Lopez or something. I don't remember. No, Scotch again. Alright. And knight to c3. Alright. So this is the different flavor of Scotch. And what I'm usually trying here, is some you know, not necessarily great things. So I believe that black can do better than I do against this line. But what I'm really trying to do is to get rid of, not to get rid of, but to avoid, it's better to say to avoid these main lines of this setup, because they're super boring and it's really hard to break through, because white's position is indeed very solid, no questions. So I'm trying to provoke white for something much more active than it's usually happening in these lines, and this may provide me with some chances. That's why I'm not playing d5, because it leads to exactly the pawn structure white is expecting. So I'm playing in a bit more modest way, like this, as you can see, more like in the Philidor style. That's the strategy, I would say. It's not necessarily the best from a chess point of view, but it's much more promising if we talk about you know, practical approach. All right, let's go there. Oh, Mictal is here. My God. Where have you been? And now, see, we control dark squares very, very well, in my opinion. And now e4 is just an isolated pawn, in fact. And f7 is never a problem because of my knight on e5, which is perfect. Simply perfect. Let's just bring the bishop to e6. Now we have various ideas. We can play c5, c4, grabbing some space. What I would like to try is to create some pressure on the queen side against b2 pawn using the b file, which is, again, pretty natural. We have this file at our disposal. Why not, then? Now a5 looks interesting. B takes a5, rook b1, knight b1, just rook a8, and then rook takes a5, which creates a passer for white. But I don't believe it will be dangerous. It will look more like a weakness. If white doesn't take on a5, well, I get rid of my pawn, which is separated from the rest of the group. So I guess this is a correct approach. The only thing that I didn't consider here was a6 move, in which case, of course, I can take on d3 and take on a6, but is it the best move? Isn't it better to play c5 and c4 and get rid of that bishop that way? That's a good question. Or maybe just bishop c8 and bishop takes a6. Also an option. It's quite hard to decide here, to be honest. Because everything looks not that bad for black. Let's try c5. I mean, even if we don't play c4... Right, this move doesn't make our position any worse, I guess. So it's okay. Right, we can play c6 now. But do we really want it? And what about rook b8? Then knight to c3. Yeah, this is complete nonsense. Let's just play c6. Or maybe c4 and then c6. Trying to trap that bishop even. So many good ideas here. Well, not necessarily good ideas, but some attractive ideas. Let's try to trap that bishop, okay? So what's going on in chat here? Knight to c3, okay, c6. Bishop a4 is forced. Now rook takes a6. Okay, pawn is regained. That's great. What's next? d5 looks interesting, but probably not. It's not the best timing. So let's just bring the king closer. Rook is coming to b7 anyway. All right. In any case, we have to activate our king at an endgame stage, so I suppose it's fine. And now knight d7, knight c5. Why didn't I actually think about that at all? Probably now it's not the best moment to do that. So if I play knight to d7, there's rook to c7, knight to c5, rook takes c6. But then I can take on a4 with the rook. Then rook takes c5, rook takes a3. Or knight a4, and rook to a6. Absolutely unclear. God damn it. Why didn't I play knight d7, knight c5 immediately? Ha! I have no idea. Alright. Stupid me, apparently. Nah, crazy. Could have played it immediately and I didn't. Why on earth? Never mind. This position is also not that bad for black, honestly. Skinny 5. And we have an idea of just taking on e4 next move. That's what we're going to do. And now king to d4, right. Looks amazing. Yeah. Very active pieces, only 1 minute, but I think we're going to win this game. Or maybe it's not gonna be that simple as I expected it to be. Everyone is playing its role. Yeah. Should be very close. Rook is protected. get back to c3 with check and then d1, right? That should be fine now. And so on, so forth. Interesting game, right? I just forgot how we got there to this. And oh yeah, there was this interesting thing happening to the... Why didn't I play knight d7 and knight c5? That's really strange. So I did everything to, you know, force the bishop to that strange position on a4. What would be the most natural way of thinking here? Well, let's just trap that guy, right? So like knight d7, come on. And then knight c5, that traps the bishop. Well, maybe it's not winning it. Though, now I see it. So rook to b1 intending rook to b4. It's not so simple, actually. Hell yeah. Knight c5, then just rook to b4. Okay. Never mind, guys. So it was not so simple. If knight b6, then bishop takes c6, right? So, yeah, thanks for the game. Thanks for the game. Mike Goring, accept. White pieces, let's go. Prom Knight says, but knight b6 at the rook b4, then c5. Well, after knight b6, there is bishop takes c6. It's not the way to win the bishop, it's the way to lose the c6 pawn. Anti-Berlin. Anti-Berlin. Sorry, folks, yeah, I know you hate this exchange stuff, but I love it. So e5 is Henning. That's the idea behind queen e2 move, because immediate knight e5 fails to queen d4, attacking the knight, and f2. After queen e2, f2 is protected, so, well, black has to protect e5 somehow. Knight to d7 is a way to go here. Bishop e3, now trying to exchange dark squared bishops. Actually, it's not about a dark squared bishop specifically. It's about one of black's bishops here, because white has a better pawn structure. And if there is no compensation for it, then white is better. And black's main compensation for that bad pawn structure on the queen side is usually the pair of bishops. After the exchange of one of these guys, there is no pair of bishops anymore. But I have a feeling that a better way for me to play here is to take with a pawn, damaging my own pawn structure, but at the same time, you know, opening the f-file. I don't know, actually. It's tempting, so... I know that queen e3 is perfectly fine, but I want to open the f-file for my rook. And also control d4 and f4 squares so that opponent's knight is never that promising. Because normally black does what? Plays something like c5, then knight b8, knight c6 is a typical maneuver. Or knight f8, knight e6, or knight c5, knight e6. Everything is just to bring the knight to d4 and f4 squares, which is no longer possible here, which makes no sense whatsoever, because my pawn e3 just controls those squares, right? Right. And I have a 5 square to fight for. I have a clear plan of attack on the king side. So with the help of pieces to start with, in the ending it's possible to continue with the minority attack like g4, h4, g5, and then something will be weakened for sure. For now though, let's focus on the king. So want to play knight f5. Alright, that makes sense. Should we play rook f5 with the idea of rook h5? Does it make any sense here? I don't know. Let's try it. should be at least irritating. Rook f5, well, at very least it's just the idea of bringing another rook to the f file, to double rooks along the f file. But additional stuff that I can try here is somehow connected to that rook h5 idea. Right? Right. Let's be active here on the king side. Still nothing more than just, you know, dreams for white, because I don't see a concrete way to get closer. But at least I have some play, right? Black is just waiting here, because pieces are quite passive. So queen to g4 doesn't do anything, right? I can stop black by playing a4, I think. We should come up with some prophylaxis on the queen side as well, just to prevent black doing anything in this position. If we don't play a4, black may play a4, b5, b4, just grabbing space gradually. Okay, so the king is now completely limited, but I don't see a checkmating. Well, knight g6. Unfortunately, knight g6 doesn't work, right? Knight g6, hg6 leads to a checkmate, but queen to g6, unfortunately for us, saves the game. God damn it. Alright, what about this move? I know it's a cheapo, but who knows? Nah, not a fate. God damn it. I wanted to play knight g6, actually. hg6, queen h3, queen g6 takes, rook h3. That was a cheapo. Yeah, I know. Alright, a4 was attacked. Let's protect it. And now knight g6 wins, right? Knight g6, queen g6, queen g6, checkmate. hg6, checkmate immediately. Here we go. Cheapo rules. Here it is. The king was too limited. And queen is ours, right? Yes. At some point I was thinking like, wow, I missed something, but no. That worked just fine. Yeah, so the general idea here is that after bishop e3, you don't take that bishop, you just step back with the bishop to d6, although it looks passive, but as I said before, that's strategically correct thing, because you have pair of bishops to compensate your worst pawn structure, which is a long-term problem, of course, it's not immediately a problem. And then you play c5, knight b8, knight c6, that's one of the plans here, okay? Let's continue. And probably we're slowly getting to the end. Here is Yon 606. Accept the challenge. I'm playing with white pieces again. Let's see. c5, knight to f3. And Sicilian, the first one today. My god, people, what happened to you? Why don't you play Sicilian? This makes our lives so much better. Playing Sicilian with both colors. Said Andrey, who plays e5 exclusively against e4. But I used to play Sicilian with black, so I have an excuse. Bishop d3 was probably not the best square. Let's just even take there. I mean, I know it only helps black, but just don't want to spend time on moving the knight somewhere, or protecting it with the bishop on e3 is also not necessarily that great, because g4 is not that controlled. So now what? c5. Is it an idea? Can this theoretically work? I don't think it works. But it's so tempting to play it. I don't know what to do with that. Let's see. Let's just play king h1 first. And this c5 may well be an interesting strategic pawn sacrifice. So c5, dc5, then e5. I have better pawn structure. That bishop on b7 is out of play. Well, let's actually do it. Why didn't I do this immediately? Because I thought that queen d4 would be critical with check. That's why I played king to h1. All right. And now e5. Although it was not necessary. But just wanted to have this guy on e4. Looks pretty good, right? Yeah, super pleasant for white, although black is a pawn up, but who cares about those pawns? They're all bad. Okay, so black realized that and decided to give it up. Just to make the bishop active again. Yeah, this makes total sense. This totally makes sense. That's what I wanted to say. Okay, f5 now. It doesn't make sense. f5, e takes f5, knight e6, bishop d6, bishop takes d5, bishop takes d5, queen takes d5. Looks interesting, but not necessarily giving me anything specific. But looks great. What to choose? Maybe f5, ef5, knight e6, bishop d6, e d6. And if queen d6, there is some sort of check. I've got no idea. Let's try it. There was a question from Make. What do you think of Manson Gam? I have no idea what's that. I have no idea what's that gambit. Can you name the moves? Because I can't imagine what you're talking about. Knight e6, bishop d6. I don't know, it looks very tempting to play this way. I want to try to be able to create some threats before black castled, but maybe I'm just overestimating it and it doesn't give me what I want actually. But let's see. I just don't know for now. Position is pretty promising here. Although I may be 2 pawns down. I am 2 pawns down now, but I have pair of bishops. I have this check on the e file now. Bring the king to, you know, a terrible position. A fate, probably. So yeah, let's do it. This should be our compensation at least. Have no idea what's going on here. King of Fate looks like a move. Now the knight on d5 is still pinned, so I have several ideas. I can play bishop f4 now, and then after queen f4 I take on d5, but this may not work. Bishop g5 looks interesting, alternative. Yeah, let's bring the bishop to g5, because we have a concrete threat now. We want to play bishop e7, winning some material. We also control d8 square, preventing black from playing rook d8, supporting the knight on d5. Let's see what black is going to do here. We also have an idea of playing queen to b3 at some point, attacking the bishop. Not sure at which moment what is going to work for white the best. But right now, I still feel like my position, well, it's not bad for sure. We have some targets here. If black plays f6 now, which I believe is a move, we can even just go away to h4. Or we can consider queen to b3. Alright, this is not looking correct. But maybe it's the best move, I don't know. I have to take on d5 now, I guess. Or I can just protect the bishop. I don't know. So bishop d5, queen d5, queen g5. Then there is this check on d6. King goes to g8. I can take on c5 with the tempo. I think it's just fine, right? Yeah, let's just play it simple. Oh, moreover, after bishop d5, there's bishop e7 check. Come on, we're winning the game instantly here. Because we're just a minor piece up, right? Yeah. That's it, basically. That was a blunder. I missed bishop e7 intermediate check there. I thought I would have to take on d5 first, although even that would have been quite good for white. Maybe just quite okay, but it doesn't matter. So white is winning now. Oh, rook d2, queen c5, and checkmate on the back rank, right? And g2 was even protected with the bishop from b7, so it was not dangerous whatsoever. So what happened here? Well, basically, right after king to h1, I don't understand why you played rook to c8, honestly. So what was the point? I believe that c5 is a move here. Yeah, I know that black plays rook to c8 on Sicilian, but when the file is open, right? When the file is closed, you don't need that move whatsoever. It doesn't do anything. So you just play c5 here, preventing me from playing c5. You're fine. I believe this position is okay for black. And quick explanation, why didn't I play c5 immediately? If I thought it would be so good pawn structure for me, because I indeed wanted to continue with the e5. Maybe that was my mistake. Probably I should have played c5 immediately, and after all, e5 is not the only idea. But what I was considering here was this e5, queen d4 check, and after king there, I thought there would be some like knight to g4, intended knight to f2, and if I take there, like just takes there, attacking my rook on f1. Typical stuff, by the way, and I believe here white doesn't have anything except for problems. So that's why I decided not to play c5, but honestly, e5 is not needed here, so you can play, for example, queen to e2. Now, queen d4 makes no sense at all because of bishop e3. And same bad pawn structure for black. So probably c5 deserved serious attention, and hence bishop to b7 was a serious mistake. Instead of playing that, c5 could have been considered, or queen to b6 check. I think that is the best way to play it. After king to h1, just castle. Although here black has to take into account something like this, but I don't know. I don't think it's so dangerous or something. So even something like that should be fine. Okay, attacking e5, and if queen h5, then g6. We get in a lot, but if white loses e5, it may just backfire after this. Alright guys, thanks a lot for being with me. I hope the stream was fine from a technical point of view, and you know, in the sense of the contents. Haven't seen for ages, basically. I mean, it's no longer regular, but this week it's not the end. So tomorrow, the same time, like today, I will be playing Blitz against you again. So everyone is welcome. See you tomorrow, guys. Bye-bye.